Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a recipe, black-eyed peas and collard greens. You can follow along with us on page 111 from the book Good and Cheap by Leanne Brown, Eat Well on $4 a Day. So first of all, I love this recipe because everything can be made in one pot and you can add it over rice, toast, and it freezes very well. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So to get started, we are going to, first off, we should have, if you're following along the recipe, we should have soaked 1 cup of black-eyed peas in water overnight. And the cooking time is gonna be determined by how long those were soaked, how old the beans were. You're kind of just gonna have to taste them for that. But let's get started. Gonna get this going on medium to medium-high heat. We're adding butter here, a tablespoon. Let's get our little, there we are. And we're gonna add our bacon. Now, if you wanna make this vegetarian, you could skip the bacon. We're adding this for smokiness and a little bit of flavor. You could always do a smoked paprika instead of the bacon. And if you wanna keep it vegan, we can do olive oil, skip the bacon, and add paprika. Right. So we're gonna put saute this a little bit. The bacon's gonna give off a little bit of oil as well. We're gonna put our bay leaf in there, onions, garlic, and give this a stir. We're gonna go ahead and cover this. Yep. All right, after about 2 minutes, you can see that the onions have softened up quite a bit. Bacon's starting to get a little crisp. It smells amazing. I love a little bacon. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our soaked beans, pour those right in, give them a quick little stir. And we're going to lightly season a little black pepper, some salt, about a teaspoon of salt for right now. We will periodically check it for seasoning. You don't want to over season it right now at this point because it will reduce and it can become a little bit too salty and we can't really take salt away. So we're going to crank the heat up to about medium high, add enough water to cover the beans. Alternatively here, you could use chicken stock, but you want to make sure that you be using a low or no sodium chicken stock. We don't want to add any more salt than necessary. We want to be able to control all of our salt factor. So we're just going to give this a little taste for salt. Add a little bit more in there. Remember, we can always finish seasoning at the end. Ooh, that's nice and smoky. Now, you're not limited to just the ingredients that are here. If you've got some extra veggies around, you've got some carrots, celery, green bell pepper, you could always put those in there. Something like carrots, I would probably want to add closer to the end, maybe after 30 minutes or so, just so they don't turn into complete mush. But yes, we're going to bring this up to a boil. And once we get there, we're going to bring it back down and cover. Actually, covering it will allow it to come to a boil even faster. So we're gonna cover this, let it come to a boil, and then we're gonna bring it down to medium low. Like I said, let it go for about 30 minutes to up to 2 hours. It just depends on how long you soak the beans. You could get away with soaking the beans for as little as half an hour, but overnight will be ideal. All right, we'll finish this up in just a minute. All right, so our beans have been cooking for a little over an hour. I've tasted them for tenderness. So we don't want to cook them too much because we still want them to maintain their shape and some of their texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fish this bay leaf out. All right. I'm going to put this over here. And we're going to add our collard greens. Now you can get fresh bunch of collard greens. We want to destem them. So we roll them up, take the stems off, and slice them into relatively uniform pieces. Honestly, to make things much quicker and easier, I go ahead and buy the bag shredded collards. I still wash them even though they say they've been triple washed. And we're gonna go ahead and add these into there. They're gonna cook down a bit. I'm gonna add a little bit more seasoning because we've seasoned enough for the beans by themselves, but not enough to account for the collards. And like I said, we always wanna make sure we slightly under season because we can't take any salt away. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover these, stirring them periodically. Now, we don't need to cook these for 8 hours like grandma used to. These are gonna be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. We just want the collard greens to have sort of softened a little bit, make them palatable and a nice texture. And I'll show you how we finish this up in just a minute. Now we're gonna make the toast for this collard greens and black-eyed peas. Now we could just put them in a toaster oven, but I like to add a little bit more flavor. So here we've got some olive oil, and we're gonna heat this up over medium heat. You just let the garlic perfume this olive oil a little bit. Just turn this heat up a little bit. Now, we don't really want to go past medium with the garlic in there because otherwise it'll burn and give it sort of an accurate flavor. Go ahead and lay our toast in there. I'm gonna bring it up just past medium, about medium high. And we've pretty much got all the garlic flavor that we want in here. So I'm gonna fish these little guys out. Raise that heat up. Grab some tongs. We're just gonna let them go on each side for about a minute, minute and a half. Really depends. You're gonna wanna eyeball this. You don't wanna walk away because once it starts turning brown, it goes from brown to black quickly. So, see there, getting a little light brown there. We want a little bit more. There we are. Let's move this around, get a little more oil on that. See, it's happening really quickly there. I'll go ahead and give this a flip. Give this a flip. Give a bit more oil on this one. Now, we don't need the other side as crispy. You just want to take the edge off, warm it all the way through. All right, these guys are done. Ready for us to plate up. All right, time for plating. We're gonna go ahead, now here I'm using a slotted spoon because we don't wanna get too much of that reserved liquid and ruin our nice toasty bread. And like I said, see, we didn't cook the beans down too much. We cooked them so they were soft, but we don't want them, we want to still have them maintain their integrity so that you still get a little bit of pop in your mouth. But this right here, this is delicious. And honestly, if you wanted to have this for breakfast, you could put a fried egg on top, with or without the egg. This is a top tier meal, snack, appetizer. And for the rest, if you're not gonna eat the rest right now, you can definitely put this in the fridge, 2-3 days max. And if you wanted to have it for later, put it in the freezer. A great tip is to put them in, once it's cool, of course, put it in a freezer bag. Make sure it says freezer bag and not just a regular storage bag. It does matter. Or you can put them in a zip top container. I'm sorry, in like a plastic container that's meant to store food in the refrigerator. What I would do is, again, this is once everything is completely cooled, put a layer of plastic wrap on top of it, just enough to cover the top, and then seal it. That way you get a nicer seal and it's gonna last longer. And that way it'll last 2 or 3 months in the freezer. Awesome, guys, here we go. Enjoy.